fellow Toastmasters. It's my great pleasure to introduce John Morris, who is going to share best practice for judges. John has been a member for some 35 years, so I think you'll agree with me, he has had a lot of experience, and he speaks from those vast years of experience on how he believes the best way to complete the ballot counter, and he will have some tips and advice for those new to judging and also for those who may be more familiar with it, but would like to learn a few extra tips. So thank you very much indeed, John. We really appreciate you spending your time, and I will hand the microphone to you. Thank you very much indeed, John.
Thank you very much, Janet, and welcome to fellow Toastmasters. As Janet says, I've been in Toastmasters for quite a number of years and entered lots of contests and have been a judge at lots of contests before. And I feel it's important that everybody that judges at contest level is fully aware of the judging criteria that they need to work to come up with the appropriate result. At the end of the day, we're looking for the best speaker on the day, not necessarily somebody within your club that you know is a very, very good speaker and you think, oh, they're great, they'll go through. So you must go to the judging criteria, what it is on the day. Now, if you get a chance to look at the ballot forms that we're given, there are three lots of criteria that you need to work to come up with the best result for the day. That's the content, the delivery, and the language. And they're split up into little sections on each part of those. In the content part of it, you're looking at the speech development, the effectiveness of the speech value, and the audience response to that. Vitally important you have a good read of that before you get into judging at all. My first tip for you to do that, because probably as a new judge as well, you'll only be given this judge's ballot on the evening of the contest when you're given the briefing, and you won't have a lot of time to actually look at it. If you know that you're going to be a judge for a contest at all, I would suggest that you download the form beforehand. Easiest way to do that would be to go onto Google and look at Toastmasters speech contest judges ballot, and there is one there for each of the contests. That will give you a great deal of time beforehand to look at the criteria that you need to be looking at and fully understand what it is that you're looking for. Content is 55% of the marks that you can possibly give. Delivery is 30% and language is 15%. This is the part of the form where you will be putting down your scores for each of the contestants within a contest. Now, my first tip and suggestion for this would be to, when you get the speaking order for a contest, is don't put down the first speaker in 1, the second speaker in 2, but to do it in the reverse order. So if you put your first speaker down in the column where it says 10 there, when you've made up your mind about what scores you want to give to that person, you can actually turn it over, and then that score is out of your mind, and you can do your scoring for the next contestant completely separate to that. So that's a good tip that I've always found to that. The second thing that I would suggest that you do is, when you're looking at whether they've done a fair job, a good job, a very good job, or an excellent job on there, make sure that you don't go to the very highest on what you're looking for, because if you go too high within scores and say, for instance, you think somebody's done an excellent speech on that and you give them 15 marks for it, your next speaker might be a slightly better speaker. So look at what you're scoring there. I would suggest that somewhere around the 75% mark would be the top mark that you would give for anybody in a speech, because you always go up or down from that when you're comparing it to another speaker in there. So you're looking at speech development, the effectiveness, the speech value, and the audience response on that, on content. On the physical side of it, the delivery there, the voice and the manner in which they have delivered it, and the language part of it as well. It's very difficult at times to sit at the end of a speech when you're only given 1 minute by the contest chair there to put your remarks in there. But I've always looked at part of that with the delivery in the language, that as they're going through their speech, bearing in mind it's probably usually a 5 to 7 minute speech, that you can put some of those marks in there as you go along. If they're using the aerial well, after 3 or 4 minutes, you know that they're doing that. So you can come up with a mark for that sort of thing. If their voice projection's really good, you can mark parts of that. So the thing that you probably will take a little bit of time to consider your marks on is going to be the content there. So when you've got that minute between the speeches there, you can concentrate on that part of it. Points to remember when you're adding up. You might want to leave it until the end of the contest to add up of all of the contestants there. Always make sure that you double check your scoring, because obviously the points could be quite close to one another. So you don't want to get that wrong. Always make sure that you get a clear first, second, and third. So if you end up with a situation where you've got somebody that has actually scored the same amount of points, have a look and see whether, perhaps you could change something up or down for one of those contestants so you get a clear first, second, and third. Other points to consider, I think, when you're judging is make sure that you're not sitting next to any contestants or even another judge, because you could be sort of looking at one another and you're sort of looking, find yourself a decent seat where you've got a decent view where you can see everything and you're going to clearly hear what's going on there. And make sure that you've got a clear first, second, and third, as I said. Another thing to remember is that ballot must be signed and your printed name on it. If it isn't an eligible ballot, and the counters must refuse to put that in with the score in there. So make sure that that's done as well, and clearly write your name on it, because sometimes when I've been a judge before or chief judge before, somebody scrawls their name down and you can't actually decipher who's judging ballot that is. So make sure that it's clear, and make sure that your counters, when they're receiving the ballots, can see that they have been signed. Because again, if that ballot hasn't been signed, they could quickly hand it back to them and say, look, you haven't signed that, so please get that signed. As I say, download that slip beforehand so you've got plenty of time to go through it, that you totally understand what it is that you're looking for when you come to judge at a contest. Criteria for each contest is slightly different, but the judging format is the same. You're still going to those guidelines that they've given there. One thing that you will certainly be looking for within the humorous speech contest is where there is humor in there. It doesn't have to be a great big long line of jokes. You're not doing a Tim Vine stand-up routine. You're looking for somebody that's giving a speech that's got some humor in it. It's either got a twist in the tail or whatever there. So that's my advice for judging, and I hope this could be helpful to you anytime that you get asked to judge at a contest, and good luck with it.
Thank you very much indeed, John. That was really very helpful. And I'd also add that on the back of the judging form is some helpful judging criteria for judges to watch out for, to guide their identifying the good points and what could be not so good. Fantastic. John, thank you very much indeed. As always, if anybody has any queries, please contact us at the training team. My name is Janet Alkemer at janetalkemer.com. Thank you very much indeed.